call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Carlos Contreras.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Yeah. All right. And so, like I was telling you about my middle school, and then my high school years was, I ended up graduating eighth grade middle school, ended up going to high school, and ended up graduating out of high school. But I had to go to opportunity school for 2 years, make up 2 years in 1 year, and went back my senior year and graduated. Just to prove my parents that I could still go out and party, could still go out and sell drugs, I could still go out and do everything I want, get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I could still get a diploma and go to school. And so I did it for all the wrong reasons, but I did it, got a high school diploma.
So earlier on, you mentioned that you were on probation. Were you able to successfully complete your juvenile probation?
Yes, all the way till I got off my freshman year. That was my cap. They said if you do good all the way to your freshman year, we'll complete you, cut you off. But yeah, I ended up being on probation. I still ended up getting in trouble, but that was the one, like, spray painting on walls, taking me, letting me out. This one time, almost ended up going to a YA because they had done a beer run, and I was leaving one of the NA meetings. Because they were getting mad at seventh grade because they were getting mad because I was smoking inside that NA meeting, and they didn't want to see a little kid like me, 11 years old, smoking. And they said, "Go outside and smoke outside." I remember I went outside and I ran into one of my brother's friends. They took me to a party and they ran out of beer, so we did a beer run nearby liquor store, and I was too young, so they had me stand across the street, and they did a whole, broke in there and took all kinds of cases, and the guy tried to come out, and they smashed the bottles on him, and the guy from the store, and they tried to stop all them. They pretty much beat him up, and he came out shooting with a gun, boom, 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 and there was only like 4 of us that got caught that night, got taken to juvenile hall for maybe 6 months. I missed like half of the year of school because of that in 7th grade, and we're fighting a 5-year CYA sentence, and they ended up dropping all the charges, because they couldn't find sufficient enough evidence on all of us, and so they ended up dropping it, and then I was back in school, and but I missed half of the year going to, I was living in juvenile hall for almost a good 6 months. So yeah.
And how was your experience in juvenile hall? Were you scared the first time you went there? How do they treat you guys
You
there?
know what? I was so young, right? When I went, I was so young. I was 10 and a half at that time. I was 10 and a half years old. I was so young that they put us housed with the girls. Like, we couldn't even be housed with other male inmates. Everybody that was a certain age, that was 10 years old, they house you with girls that are like 8 to 18. And so when they put us with them, there was always these same guys that were in there. Jose Pinoco, Spanky from JT, David Baker from McAvenus. Like, these same faces, I would always run into them. and they were considered all, like, pretty much the ones that were messing up out there, right, as little kids. And it was a trip because they were from the rival city that I was from. But for some reason, that's when I first learned that when you're locked up, Mexicans stick together. Even if you're out in the streets, you're killing each other, but when you're locked up, you're like kicking it together. That's when I learned about that. a little bit, and they ended up becoming a lot of my closest friends as little kids. And so, in the juvenile hall, it was just like everybody's just trying to go home. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to go back home to our moms, and it was an experience. It was an experience. Something, first time ever being taken away. Like you're not sleeping you're not sleeping at home no more. You're not going to school. Like yeah, this is like they just tear you out. You know what I mean? Like you feel like lonely. This first time, I remember that was one of the first times when I was in one of the cells one time in juvenile hall. I remember looking out the windows and I said, "Man, is this gonna be my life for the rest of my life?" And I remember saying, "Nah, I can't be doing this. I can't be hanging around with those people." And I never went back after that. I never went back until I was older. I started getting older. That's when I started going to prison. But yeah, it scares you the first time. I ain't gonna lie. You get a little scared. But after you're in there and you start seeing the people how they are, and it's just a bunch of little kids running around with no guidance.
And were your parents visiting you on the weekends whenever
This
whenever they
call
could?
and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah, they would come try to visit me. They would even try to bring me candies, big old bags of Hershey's candies and everything. They wouldn't give them to me. They put them in my box. When I got out after 6 months, I had like 5 different bags of candies. and but yeah, they would come visit me. They would come visit me, and even girls from school would write to me, "Oh, you're locked up. Oh my God." And this and that, and it was a trip. Already getting letters. When I got out, don't get me wrong, I was like, I was the kid that was in juvenile hall. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted some kind of attention or some type of respect or some type of something, that was it. Like, oh, he was in juvenile hall. Like, oh, better be careful with him. That type of deal, right? You know. So
And earlier on, you mentioned that you graduated, you got your diploma. How old were you when you were able to get your diploma?
I was 18 years old, class of '97. Out of Coachella Valley High School. Yeah, I actually pulled through. I remember my freshman year, I stopped doing drugs my whole freshman year so I could play football, wrestle, and and that was the first year that I was ever sober in my whole life. Because I started, well, not my whole life, but since seventh grade, I was always getting high, and that was the first time that I was ever sober. That I actually chose to be sober the whole year. And my sophomore year, I got back into the drug scene, dropped out of school. Um, my dad pretty much pulled me over one day inside the house and told me like, "Hey, what the hell are you trying to do with your life? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell are you doing? You're just gonna not go to school no more?" And I said, "Nah, Dad, I'm going to become a drug trafficker from Mexico. I'm gonna be bringing all those drugs from Mexico, and I'm gonna buy a big ass house in Mexicali and have my farms and my horses and my pigs and everything, and I'm gonna traffic drugs." And he goes, "Oh, is that right?" And he grabbed me and he took me to get drug tested, and I was sober. I was thinking like that sober, but I was already selling drugs as a sophomore. I was selling ounces of dope out of my mom's house, and he knew I was doing something, but he didn't really get on me because of my older brother. He got busted with a pound of coke one time, and because he got busted with a pound of coke, him and his friend were cutting up inside the room, and he caught them. He kicked my brother out, and my brother, from that age, as a freshman, he was living in the streets. My dad kicked him out, and he didn't see my brother until maybe like 10 years down the line. And I guess he didn't want that to happen to me if he had kicked me out. So he kind of gave me like more slack to do whatever I wanted to do, and that's the kind of things I was doing. So I was selling drugs for all my sophomore year and my junior year. went to opportunity school to La Familia, made up my sophomore year, my junior year, and some senior credits. Went back my senior year, played varsity football, wrestled, and I was doing like the half day because I already had finished a lot of my classes during opportunity school. So I was only doing half day my senior year because I was already done with those classes and graduated like nothing. It was easy.
And since you graduated from high school, did you go to prom?
Yeah, yeah, did all that. I went to prom, and then during that time, I remember during that time, on my off time, like after school, I remember I would go to the recruits, to the Navy recruits. I wanted to go to the Navy, to tell the truth, and I was taking the test that you have to take because you have to score at a certain level to be part of the Navy. And then the Army has a different test. Like they don't, you don't have to be that smart, right? To get into the Army. Anybody can get into the Army, but to the Navy, you have to score at a certain level on these tests that they gave you. And I was go after school and I would practice them. And he goes, as soon as you graduate, come and check us out, and we'll sign you up, take this test, and we'll get you going into the Navy. I said, hey, all right, cool. And so I remember the day
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I remember the day that I graduated. I still kept partying. I kept partying because I did it. You know what I mean? I graduated high school like I said I would, and I kept partying for like 3 months. Coming home late. My mom thought I was gonna go back into that same lifestyle, just selling drugs or whatever. So she ended up shipping me to my brothers in Arizona, and because I didn't have no dialogue with my mom or my dreams or my goals or what I wanted to do after high school, that when she shipped me out there, she shipped me with my brother that the one that got kicked out with the pound of coke. She shipped me out with him, and because he would come visit the house during that time when I was a senior, and he was saying, look, I'm working at a Ruger company where they make, the Ruger 9s, and they make Callaway golf clubs. I'm part of a big old industry right here. I know the main guy that hires and fires, like he's family, and I can get him hired over here if he wants to come. And so me coming home one day and just saying, hey, Carlos, alista tus cosas, get everything ready because you're going with your brother. I didn't even have a say-so in it. And so she just shipped me out. I looked at it like she was kicking me out. And she goes, I'm doing this for your own good so you can get out of this place because right here you're going to get in trouble. And so I had to start a whole new life up in Arizona, Prescott, Arizona, after high school.
And do you often think about if they would have not shipped you off to Arizona because you were set to go to the Navy, right?
Yeah, man, I think about that every day. And even when I caught my first case, my first turn in Arizona, you know, they never knew about my plans. They never knew until I told them, I told them, did you guys know before you guys shipped me, I wanted to go to the Navy? And they were like they took it like if I was blaming them that they sent me over here, and they didn't really want to talk about it. But I was trying to express myself, and they didn't want to hear it because they thought that I was trying to blame them for shipping them to Arizona with somebody that let me do whatever I want, and ended up catching a 5-year term over there. And I didn't want to make them feel bad, so I just left it alone. But I did tell them one time. I told my mom, and I didn't really want to break her heart. So I kind of left that subject alone at that time, and ended up revisiting it way down the line. But yeah, it's I had goals, and I had some goals. I really wanted to be part of something, and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
sometimes it just doesn't work out like that.
And you said you went to prison in Arizona. What was it that you went to prison for?
Over there for 2 home invasions, escape, um, taking drugs from one place to another, in county jails, 2 assaults, basically like just the two home invasions. And they gave me 5 years. I was supposed to get 21, but I had a lot of people stand up for me during my sentencing, and the judge had mercy on me. Just gave me 5 years. I was 20 years old, little kid, and first time down. So he goes, I'm gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna give you 5 years. When you get out, don't come back to Arizona. Go back to California. I was like, all right.